Hello, everybody. Maybe some of you have been wondering where I've been, why I haven't been making as many videos. Well, something happened a few months ago, and I'm going to share the story with you. And this story might convince you that God is real, that there is a God, and it's shocking. I think it's amazing, and it saved my life. So, first of all, I'm going to tell you that I grew up and I still live next to the St. Clara's Monastery in Minnesota, and the Catholic St. Clara opened up a monastery many years ago, and now there's a bunch of them all over the world. But basically, her and her sisters pray for the homeless and for the people who need to be prayed on, and this particular one that's a block away from my house has nineteen sisters that live there, and I've been going over there since, well, even when I was a little kid. They have a fence that goes around. It's a cloistered um, um, group of nuns. They cannot see the outside world. They cannot see me. They cannot see anybody, and they pray for everybody who needs to be prayed for. Or so I talked to them when I was a kid through the knot hole in the fence. There'd be, my one of my buddies lived right next door to it, and their backyard was the fence. So they had little holes in the fence where we'd look through, and we'd see the nuns, and they would they would come running around, and then they would talk to us through the fence. But so anyways, it's just they've been a part of my life, my whole life. I was raised Catholic, and I was an altar boy and all that stuff. And so anytime someone was sick, I would go over there and have them pray for them. During COVID, I was over there a lot, and needless to say, I've seen miracles. Um, they do a great job. I donate money to them. Anyways, on with the story. So about 3 months ago, I was I was struggling, battling a bad case of diarrhea. I don't know if it was some kind of food poisoning or something. But I was so sick, and it was like 10 days straight. And one day, one evening, I was so sick, and I could barely even stand. I was so weak, and I told my son Devin, to give me a ride to the ER, and he was all worried, like, "Why? What's going on?" I go, "I just got to go in. I'm so sick. I can't take it anymore." So then he drives me to the ER, and I walk in. Me and him walk in, and I go in and I get checked in, and they said, "Have a seat. We'll call you." So I sat down. I sat down, and a couple of minutes later, two policemen walk in, and they are with some young man. And this young man was about 25 years old, and he was, I don't know if he was either drunk or mental illness or drugs or what. I did not know. And I'm a mental health practitioner, and I'm in long term recovery from a substance use disorder. So I'm watching him, as much as I can because I'm so sick. So the policeman check him in, and he walks over and sits right next to me, and and he says to me, he says, "Do you think that I'm gonna end up going to jail?" I said, "Well, why? What happened? Did you get a DUI?" And he says, "No, they found me in the park, and they already gave me a citation, and at this point, and the smell of alcohol was just making me sick. I could smell alcohol on them." I said, "I don't know, dude. Whatever. I can't tell you. I don't know the answer." So then a couple minutes later, and I'm sitting there, and we're just waiting to be seen. I'm thinking I'm going to get something for dehydration, something for nausea, something like that. Well, I'm sitting there, all of a sudden I had three sharp pains, like in my stomach, like three sharp pains. I turned to my son. I said, Devin, I just had three sharp pains in my stomach. He goes, really? I go, yeah. I don't know what that is. I've never had that before. You know, the last 10 days or whatever, I haven't had no pains in my stomach. So I'm like, wow, that was weird. So then I couldn't take the smell of the alcohol anymore. So I changed seats. Me and my son changed seats. So now this guy was on the left of me, this young guy, and I couldn't smell him anymore. So, anyways, um, they they called his name. His name was Tim, and he went up there, and they said something, and then he sat back down, and he looks at me and goes, I feel fine, and I already got the citation. I'm just gonna leave. I said, well, I don't know, dude. Whatever. I'm just feeling so sick. So, um, this guy Tim, he gets up, he goes up there and talks to him, and they're saying, well, if you feel fine, and the emergency room was packed. So they're saying, oh, if you feel fine, we'll see you later, because the cops had already left. So Tim takes off, and then they call my name, and I go in there and I say, hey, Joe, what's happening? What's the problem? And I told him I said I had diarrhea for the last 10 days, and I'm just so sick right now, and I had to come in. I just couldn't wait. Nothing was getting better. So they said, and then I said, oh yeah, and I had these three sharp pains while I was sitting here, and they said, oh okay. So then they said, well, we're gonna do some blood work, and we're gonna see what's going on, and then so I said, all right. So they took my blood, and they said, okay, have a chair out there again. And I said, okay. I said, okay. So then they come out and they said, your white blood cells are up. So because of the sharp pains in your stomach, we're gonna do a CT scan, make sure you don't have appendicitis. I said, oh, okay, sounds good. So I go there and I get the scan done, and they said, okay, you can have a chair out there again. So I went out in the lobby and I waited. Me and my son waited, and then they came in. They came out and said, "Yeah, we've got a room for you, a bed for you." I'm like going, "Oh, okay." So now I'm not. I'm thinking this doesn't sound good. So I'm waiting in there, and they said, "Do you want your son to come in too?" And I said, "No, he can stay out there." Which that didn't sound good either. So I'm in there, and a nurse comes in, or a nurse, or my wife had passed away 8 years ago from cancer, and when this guy came in, it's like I was waiting in this room for someone to come in. So in walks this guy, the guy with the really nice bedside manner, and he was really calming. And I'm like, oh no, I knew what his job was. They called him into work from home because he was the guy that delivers the bad news to the patient that they have cancer. I knew it. I knew it right away because I had been through this already. I'm going, oh no. He's going, yeah. Well, there's a large tumor in your kidney, and I'm like, oh geez, So I said, they gave me the bad news, and they told me what. I said, I know all about this. So they said, you want your son to come in? Yeah. So my son comes in. I told him, and no, he was just like worried so bad because when his mother died, he was only 10 years old, and now he's 18 years old. So the look on his face was devastating, and in me, I'm like going. I, for me, personal, it was I was worried about my children more than myself. And so they said, "All right, so the next thing you gotta do is this or that or this." And I said, "Oh, okay." So I went home. Me and Devin, we went home, and so I thought, God damn, what I gotta get over to the monastery and tell the sisters. So I went over there the next day, and that was on a Wednesday night that I was at the ER. So the next day was Thursday. I went to see the sisters. I told her, and she's like, "Oh no," and I said, "Yeah," and she gave me some Lord's water, and all the sisters were going to pray for me. So then um, Sunday came. 4 days later, Sunday came, and I went in. I went over to the monastery to go to church. They have a mass every day at 7 o'clock. So I went there, and I'm sitting in the back pew, and there's only like 20 people there, if that. And these are people I know. I've known my whole life. They're from our little town, and it's quite the unique experience because all the sisters, when you go to church, all at, at the chapel, all the sisters, all 18 of them, are on the side over here, and you can't see them, but they're in mass with you, and the 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 father is giving mass to them, and we are just spectators, kind of, and but we also join in the mass. So um, so I get there. I'm in the back row, and 2 minutes later, 2 minutes later, guess who walks in? Tim from the emergency room. I'm like going, holy shit, what is going on here? And I know about divine appointment and divine intervention and all this stuff. I've witnessed it a couple times in my life, and so he sits in the front row. He squeezes in the front row, and he's up there, and once again he's like dancing around, kind of acting. I don't know, like I still don't know to this day if he's got a little bit of mental illness or what. But so he's there, and at the end of mass, he kind of zips out of there, and I follow him out, and I said to him, I said, Tim. He was ahead of me. I said, Tim, and he turns around. He goes, yeah. I go, do you remember me? He's going, no. I go, from Wednesday night at the emergency room when you sat next to me? He goes, oh yeah. He goes, are you a cop? I said, no, I'm not a cop. And I said, and I had to say something to him because of, the divine appointment. I said, well, my name's Joel, and I've been clean for 7 years now, and I just want to tell you that 7 years ago, that God took away my cravings and my urges um, from the substance I was using, and He can do the same for you. I said, do you know? I said, well, first of all, where do you live? And he goes, oh, I live on the south side of St. Cloud. So it's actually like 4 or 5 miles away. So, and the emergency room is on the other side of the river from where we're at now. And so I said, do you know what divine appointment is? He goes, no. I go, well, what are the odds of me and you crossing paths twice in 4 days in a town of over 200,000 people? He goes, I don't know. That's kind of weird. I said, yeah. So is what they call divine appointment. maybe for some reason God has put us together now twice. So he goes, yeah, wow, that's weird, yeah. So I said, well, have a great day. We talked a little bit, and I said, we'll see you around. And he goes, all right. So I walked home. I only live a block away, and I get home, and by this time Devin is waking up, and I said, Devin, come here. And he came in, and I said, guess who was at church over at the Port Clares? He goes, who? I said, Tim from the emergency room. He's like, no fucking way. I said, yeah, no shit. I'm like, he's like, wow, that's weird. I go, yeah, I mean, it's really weird. So, so Devin goes in the other room, and I start thinking to myself, wow, I'm going to look up this St. Timothy just for fun. You know, I Google everything, and I look up the Catholic Saint Timothy, and the pictures of Saint Timothy, whether it was in stained glass or it was paintings or whatever, dead ringer for Tim, dead ringer. And I said, Devin, come here, and Devin comes down. I said, check this out. I show him the pictures, and he goes, wow. He goes, that's him. I go, yeah, that's Saint Timothy. You know, I couldn't fucking believe it. I'm like, holy shit. So now I'm just like, whoa, you know, the hairs on my arms are standing up. So I read a little bit about Saint Timothy, and guess what? He's the patron saint of. Saint Timothy is the patron saint of of abdominal and intestinal ailments. I'm like, holy shit, you know. So now I kind of, and I told Devin that, and it kind of blew his mind too. I'm going, wow, you know. So I'm thinking, holy shit, what's this mean, you know? So then I go and I get another bone test, a nuclear test for the bones, make sure I don't have cancer in my bones, another CT scan of my chest, because if it if the cancer spreads, it will spread to my lungs first and my lymph nodes. So I had that checked, and everything came out great. So now, because there was no risk of it spreading, my surgery was put out 2 months, or a month and 3 weeks. So I had a month and 3 weeks, knowing that I had this cancerous tumor in my kidney. Walked around, and I'm all, you know, kind of bummed out, whatever. I'm going back to work. And so I go back the next week to the monastery. And guess who's there again? Of course, it's Timothy. Now I'm calling him Timothy. So after Mass, I follow him out. And he's always in a hurry to get out of there. But I followed him out, and I said, Timothy. And he turns around. He says, oh, hi, Joel. I go, hey, how you doing? He's going, good. I go, what are you up to? And he goes, not too much. He goes, but I looked that up. I said, you looked what up? I looked up divine appointment. I said, oh, yeah? And he goes, did you know that divine appointment can turn into divine intervention, which is also a part of divine providence? I said, no, I did not know that, Timothy. And he didn't even bother me calling him Timothy at all. It was just so weird. So, I go, hey, can you do me a favor? He goes, yeah. I go, the next time you talk to Jesus, can you tell him that I appreciate everything he's doing for me? He said, I sure will. And he turned around and he left. And right now I'm just like flabbergasted, like, wow, what's going on, you know? So, so the next week I go to work, and I'm still wondering about Timothy, you know. So I got done talking, bringing meds to one of my clients, and then I left her house, and I was driving down. This is on the south side of St. Cloud, and I saw Timothy coming out of his house. So I know where he lives, you know. But I just kept going, and I just thought, wow. So, anyways, the first time I go to the doctor, you know, the pre-op physical, and I said, if I wouldn't have got those three sharp pains while I was there at the emergency room, would they have done the CT scan? And they said, probably not. So take that as a sign of whatever you want, but them three pains made them do the scan where they discovered the tumor, and then now it's been a month, and they took they they took my kidney out. I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling great, and you know, what does all this have to do with anything? Well, it has to do with how important God can be in your recovery from substance use, but also, if I would have still been using meth like I was 7 years ago, I wouldn't have went to the emergency room, because I'd have been. I was always afraid of people finding out that I was using meth, so I would have just eventually gotten better. The the diarrhea would have gotten better, and I would have just went on with my life. And then I would have showed up 3 years from now with blood in my urine and cancer everywhere. Because according to what I've researched, that I've had the tumor started probably 8 years ago, while I was still using. Um, and then I've had people say, "Oh, the meth gave you the tumor." No, it didn't. My grandma died from kidney cancer, so who knows why. But anyways, so if if I wouldn't have been clean and sober and clear thinking, I wouldn't have went to the emergency room, and they wouldn't have discovered the cancer. And because I was well enough to realize that I had to go in, I did, you know, and you know, I always wondered, especially after my wife passed away, I wondered, you know, she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and everybody was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. It's like, how in the hell does anybody get diagnosed with stage 1 cancer or discover it early? You know, so that's how you do it. So my advice to anybody, let's say you got free medical insurance from the government or whatever, then everything's paid for. So the next time you go into the emergency room for anything at all, just tell them you got you got these sharp pains in your stomach. Tell them you got sharp pains in your stomach. They'll give you a CT scan, and you're not paying for it. You know, the state pays for it, the government pays for it. So, and they're always looking for cancer, always. And if they see a tumor, they are going to help you fix it. They're going to do it. So that's how you get it discovered early. And you know, don't be afraid of the emergency room. And don't, if someone offers you a CT scan, take it, do it, because it saved my life, and that's my story. And I hope you enjoyed it. God bless you. We'll talk